Hi folks, my name is Keelan O'Keefe. I'm the co-founder of Harmonious Divorce, and I just wanted to pop on here just to do an intro video, just to give you a little bit of information about Harmonious Divorce, what's involved in the process of going through Harmonious Divorce, and just to give you a little bit of information about my journey as a divorcee and also a child of divorced parents. I wanted to sort of give you some perspective and some information as to why I went about setting this up with my partner, Joe, who isn't here today, but you will meet in future videos. So I suppose I'm divorced now over 7 years, and I would say that my journey was a very difficult one. I think my ex-husband would agree. We both there was quite a lot of trauma and difficulty involved in our divorce. We have 2 children, and I think in any divorce situation, it's never going to be easy, but when you do have children involved, it makes it all the more harder. It's not a question of just walking away. Once you sort out the finances, there's obviously, both parties are going to be in each other's lives for a very, very long time, or perhaps forever, in some cases. So I suppose it is really crucial that you can try and find a way to navigate the process of divorce in a way that factors in that this person is going to be in your life for a very, very long time. And I think that can be something that's really, really difficult to deal with, especially if you're dealing with a situation where there is a lot of anger or hurt or bitterness between the parties. And I suppose that's probably why I came to setting up this system that is Harmonious Divorce. So for me, I found that mediation wasn't successful. We did try mediation, and then we very quickly realized, no, neither party really were willing to start into mediation, and there was still just so much animosity between us. So we did go through the court system. We both got independent solicitors, obviously, and went through the legal route. Unfortunately for us, we were going through that legal process during COVID, so it was prolonged. The courts were closed for quite a bit of time, and all in all, it probably took us about 2.5 years to go through that whole process. So I would say the time element was a major issue for me, and for my ex, I would assume. Also the cost involved. So for every solicitor's letter that is sent, there's a bill racking up every single time. Even though my solicitors, I had a great relationship with them and they were absolutely fantastic, but ultimately the cost involved in going through a court process is extremely high for both parties. So, every case is different, and depending on the duration and what's involved and, how contentious the divorce is, it can vary. But I haven't heard of anyone who's kind of come out of a divorce paying less than 20,000 each. So you can expect to pay in a jointly, you can expect to pay kind of anything, say, from 50 grand upwards. So it's an absolutely huge amount of money. I don't think people, when they're starting into that process, I don't think they realize that that's what it can actually come to. But there are so many costs involved, but apart from just the actual, turning up on the day with the barrister and solicitors, there's so much more that has to be done, obviously, before you get to that point. So I suppose I've hit on two kind of areas of difficulty that I was faced with. So the time, the duration, and having something like this so prolonged, and it's just so bad for your mental health and your physical health. And the money element was absolutely crazy. It's just so incredibly costly. But also the sorry, 1 second now. There we go. Probably the biggest disadvantage of the journey that I went on was really the emotional impact on me and the kids, and I would say for my ex too. When you have a situation where your whole life is so uncertain and there's so much fear and there's so much I suppose uncertainty in terms of your future, where you're going to be living, who's having what, where the kids are going to be going to school, does that need to change? There's so many unknowns, so much uncertainties, and so much kind of fear around the finances and security in your own sense of security and safety, that for that something like that to go on for quite a while is quite difficult. So fast forward to a number of years later, and I've always kind of had this idea that the Irish legal system is set up wrong, and that it's lacking hugely in empathy and understanding. And while solicitors are fantastic at their jobs and they're professionals, and mediators are too, I felt when I was approaching my legal team, both the mediators and the solicitors, that there was just no, it was very clinical. I was coming at it from a very emotional point of view, understandably, and that's not their job. They're not set up to sort of be the understanding ear. They just have a job to do and they want to get it done, and that's understandable. But I felt that what I would have needed at that point was a more empathetic approach from the legal professionals in general, and an understanding that every action has a consequence. So, a solicitor saying, right, we're going to send this letter stating this, that's going to have a huge impact for me and for the kids, and that's going to have ramifications when the solicitors walk off that I have to live with, for many, many years. So the idea then was born that I wanted to create this process that involved not just mediation, but empathy-led mediation from people who have come through divorce, who understand exactly all of the emotions that people are going through when they undertake mediation, and that it's not just assets we're talking about, it's people's lives that we're actually talking about. So bringing together a team of people who really, really understood that and have come from that situation. And my co-founder Joe is our lead mediator, and will tell his story at some point, but he's come through divorce, and he understands the absolute difficulties that are involved in going through such a difficult time. And then also, before even going into the mediation side of divorce, working through the psychological aspects of how to phase into a divorce. And I felt that was something that was really, really lacking when I was going through my particular situation. I did have a therapist, a really great therapist, and together we worked on, how I was going to approach co-parenting, how I was going to navigate the future as an individual, separate from my husband, my ex-husband now. But I really wish that there had been something there for me, for couples who are going through this, to help them navigate divorce from a psychotherapeutic point of view. So the idea being that it's that you're dealing with a divorce from the point of view of trying to get the best outcome for both individuals plus the children, of course. And I was very keen to try and put something into place with a team of psychotherapists that would really help before the couples going through this, before they actually got to the mediation stage. So giving them an opportunity to kind of delve into a little bit, like, as to how they got to this point, without going too much into any history and without going too much into any blame, but just acknowledging the different hurts that have occurred, and then moving forward as co-parents, but not moving forward as a couple, and how to navigate the various issues that can come up as you co-parent into the future. So Harmonious Divorce was born. We set up this incredible system where we have a team of psychotherapists, a team of mediators, all coming from a very much all empathy led, and then we have a team who will help once you have a mediated agreement to actually go and file the court documents. So it's a one-stop shop, and the idea is that you're going to spend a lot less money, you're going to spend a lot less time getting divorced, but most importantly, you're going to come out of this process and you're going to end up divorced, but you will have had the absolute best chance of having the most successful co-parenting relationship with your ex than if you had just gone through the court process or even just mediation. So there's a lot involved in co-parenting, and anyone who's kind of out the other side will understand that things can come up even years later, if they haven't been dealt with in a professional way by a professional psychotherapist. So the best thing that you can do for your family and for yourself is to look at going through some kind of psychotherapy and empathy-led mediation, and avoiding actually going through the whole court process. I don't have the exact statistic, but it's something along the lines of 98% of court divorces are actually settled on the day of the court, on the day of the hearing, and usually on the steps of the courthouse. Now, when people say on the steps of the courthouse, it's not actually necessarily on the steps, but it's within the grounds of the courtrooms, or it's in a coffee shop around the corner in a very public space. And I always found that was something that was just, I couldn't believe that in Ireland we are still at this point where you're negotiating things about where your kids are going to spend Christmas. Such really emotional, difficult topics to discuss, and they're being discussed more or less in public, potentially with another couple beside you doing the same thing, dissecting their lives in a public setting with like half an hour before the court hearing starts. And I felt that was wrong, that settlement talks, it shouldn't happen that way, and there should be an alternative. It should be a way to have these talks in a much calmer environment with professionals who really understand and who are empathetic and genuinely care about you getting the best results. So that's it in a nutshell. That's the why. I suppose that's why I set this business up. It's why I'm reaching out to talk to you today, to explain to you, if you're listening to this, chances are you're going through a very, very difficult time, and I'm really sorry that you've got to that point. But believe me, there's two ways that you can move through to the next step. One is a really, really difficult way where you're probably going to feel very, very alone and face a lot of turmoil and trauma and anger and hurt. And then the second way is to come to harmonious divorce, where we're not promising that we're going to erase or remove any of all of the difficulties that you're facing, because we can't do that. Obviously, it's still a very difficult time, but we can help you, we can guide you, we can guide all of you as a family, and try and bring you out the other side in the best possible way for all parties involved. And that's our promise to you, and that's what we strive to do with every couple and every family that comes through our doors. So I hope that gave you a little bit more insights into what this business is about, what this process is about, how it's transforming divorce in Ireland. And of course, if you're going through it right now and you want to reach out, just contact me. You can message me here. You can find us on Instagram or Facebook, or you can email hello@harmoniousdivorce.ie, and that will come directly to me. And we can have a phone call and discuss your situation and see if this is suitable for you. Thank you.